Oh no, high fructose corn syrup. Thank you. Oh man, just for getting me wet, you're going to get another one. I'm really declaring war on high fructose corn syrup now. Look at my leg soaked. Oh no. Now the dog and the cat will love me, won't they? Okay, Hickok 45 here if you didn't know it. We have with us a serious firearm. Not that you would know from that beginning, would you? It is the Sig Sp2022, 2022. I've had numerous requests, let's say that, to review and shoot this firearm over the last few years. And finally, we don't get any firearms from Sig. So finally a viewer contacted me and offered to lend us one. We appreciate it. A local viewer. That's who we take loans from, local viewers in Middle Tennessee. And so we appreciate that. It's a Sig. Okay, what can I say? It's now I know I always have a Glock out here, don't I? This is for some size comparison, but it's in a lot of ways you'll see it called the poor man's P226, and that's because it is basically a P226 in a lot of ways, you know, from especially the slide and the operation of it in a lot of ways. On the inside especially, there are some differences. Let's just go ahead quickly and I'll show you. You know, with a 226, the 229s, those guns, you've got a lever here for breaking it down. This one kind of harkens back to the 1911 style. If you're going to break it down, let's double check here now because we're going to be messing with it. She's empty. Okay, you bring back the slide and you line up right there. You don't lock it back and you pull that out. As you can see, it's not quite as smooth as, let's do lock it back. Okay, and then bring it back down a little bit. There we go, pop that out. Yeah, I'll figure this thing out before I give it back. Okay, and you know, you're all Sig, and you have typical, sort of typical. One thing I noticed about this is that you can't just pull out, you know, most of these firearms, Glocks and Sigs and everything, as far as I recall, the Sigs I've had, you just grab that, push forward and pull up. There's not enough lip to grab that spring. And the first time I field stripped it, I kind of wrestled with that. I wasn't sure what was going on. I meant to bring a screwdriver out. You have to pull it forward. It's got a little dimple on it, which fits in the little opening right there. Okay, so that kind of holds it in place. I guess that's not all bad because, you know, sometimes these move around on some firearms. And, you know, you got your Sig barrel of all things. Okay, and your slide, you know, with your firing pin block. It's you know, it's pretty much a Sig 226 when you look at it from that standpoint. Your barrel, get your spring back in. The frame is where it differs mostly. And we'll look at that. Get this back in there. Locked in. Okay. The frame, the difference is, the big difference is the way it breaks down, a little different system there, is polymer, okay, versus the 226 in those firearms. Instead of the aluminum alloy frame, you have polymer, and that's how the price was reduced. That and I guess some of the mechanical features of it help in that regard, I would imagine. You still have metal that your slide is riding on. It's not a full-length rail though, like you have with your other Sig models, but you do have, but you know, this works for, think about all the firearms out there that are so popular that work that way, that do not have a full-length rail. And of course, Sig boasts the full-length rail in a lot of their firearms, which is nice, but you don't have that, but you got metal on metal there, okay, parts of the polymer. And your, let's put it back together. I had a little trouble with this at first, I have to confess. You want to line it up. Okay, put that back on. Then you put this in pretty much when you get it lined up. And then bring it back to the same point. There you go, push it in. All right. It's no problem when you do it correctly. I did struggle a little bit. But you see your hammer drop decocker is a little bit different than, say, your 226. It works the same way, but it's I won't say it's funky, but it's just different. And you got a longer slide lock lever there. You see how far back that is. So that part is a little different for you SIG people, or people who have the 229, 228, 226. That's a little different, isn't it? Okay. And I don't have one with me, you know, to compare, but you know the difference. We have several videos on those firearms. Okay, but other than that, you got that SIG slide, you got the same kind of SIG feel. This has the night sights on it, the SIG Light night sights that came on it. I believe they came on it. Those are the same, but you got the night sights on, so it's a nice little package. The fellow who bought it said he couldn't turn down the price on it. He got it for even less than a Glock. I think maybe it was used. Because with the night sights, I think a new one of these is going to be, around the price of a Glock. Now, without the night sights, I think it might even be less now. So you're talking $400 or $500 for these, which is, of course, about half what a P226 costs these days. So what they did was they cut the price basically in half on a SIG by these modifications. You got your rail and you got a polymer frame. Okay. But it is a SIG, so it's a viable option. That's why I've had so many requests for it, because of the price. When you think of SIG, you think expensive, because generally they are expensive. Excuse me, aren't they? They're expensive firearms, and when you see one for $400 or $500, you think, wow, a SIG for that kind of money. And so that has precipitated a lot of those requests. Hey, have you seen the 2022? And there's a couple other models. What do you think of it? And I didn't really think of it because I haven't fired one. So I have a hard enough thinking of something I do have experience with. Now, what about it? What do I think about it? I have shot it several magazines worth. I'm going to shoot some more right here. It has grips that are replaceable. You just pull this off and you can slide on a different size grip. Now, I don't know if the owner has the other grips. I didn't really think about it till I got it out here and was shooting it yesterday, day before. This one, I don't know if it's a small grip. I took it off and I didn't see anything written on it, period, other than a serial number. So I couldn't tell whether this is the small one, the medium one, or the large one. Since it's not marked, I'll assume maybe it's the medium, and then the smalls have some marking and the large have, I don't know. But it is small for me. And it makes that trigger not comfortable to really work. So I'm really bringing my finger way back for it to break. And I don't like that. I'm assuming, I'll give it the benefit of the doubt, that there is a larger grip. It's not really an insert. It's almost the entire grip. The whole thing slides off there. So I need it desperately, I tell you, because it's harder for me to shoot with this one on it. All right, but we're going to struggle through. Lots of times you'll grab a firearm and it doesn't fit you perfectly, and you kind of adjust to it and figure out how to hold it, and you work with it. Just like some of the small pocket guns or even small belt carry guns, you've got this firearm that is not as big and as comfortable as your favorite range gun, but you are driven to learn to shoot it well. So I kind of take that approach on firearms like this. I don't think I can shoot it really, really well. We'll talk about that. Size-wise, it's about the same. Well, it's not the same, but you got essentially a similar length and barrel and slide. You're talking, I think the SIG is around 4 inches, 4.5 inches long or something. And you got, similar length as you do on a Glock 19. I always bring out the Glock 19. Everybody knows a Glock 19, okay? I'm not selling Glock 19s, but in terms of size, and I didn't bring the calipers out, but the slide is thicker and heavier on the SIG. You know that. With the SIG, you get a big slide, you get a fairly heavy slide, and you get a high bore axis. And for those who don't know what that means you can't get your hand up as high as you might like to, as you can on some other firearms. So you got a heavy slide, and it does absorb some recoil. Let's shoot this other magazine before we reload them. All right. But you've got a SIG. Let's go single action here. All right. Oh, somebody left some pots out there. I'll be darned. Oh, and they left some 2 liters sticking up there. Well, that one was frozen, partly frozen. They'd been up there all night. Let's try the gong before we run out of ammo. Okay, I have to hold high on it. For me, these sights, I have to line up on the top of what I'm shooting at. Believe it, at the very top. People always ask me, where'd you hold? Where'd you hold? Well, generally, I don't have to change my hold that much, even out to 80 yards. But with this, I have to hold up high with the sights. And, you know, I don't know if you have one of these and if yours is that way or not. Somebody put some more bullets in here. And I'll lay it there so you can look at it at your leisure. Again, we appreciate Federal furnishing our ammo for this video. You know, I've bought American Eagle my whole life. Whenever I see it, it's always one of my first choices to purchase, just for range planking. If somebody has it and it's not too expensive, you know. So I'm especially glad to get that supplied. We appreciate it. So these guns have been out there a while, you know, since gosh, I don't know, around what, 2002. The Sig Pro was the predecessor to this, and this is supposed to be an improvement over the Sig Pros, I understand it. And I think they made it especially for France. France adopted this thing. Their police, various units of their police departments, and have purchased, their first contract I think was for a couple hundred, 250,000 of the things or something. So they've been using it over there since around 2002. And I think even before that, the Sig Pro maybe, don't know, but they seem to like it. It's you know, it's a Sig. What can I say? There are things about it I don't like, and I bring some of that up. I'm not a Sig basher. I want to like Sigs. They are such quality firearms. They really are. Boy, when you pick up a Sig, you just know it's going to work. It's going to work well. And I would be as surprised to have a malfunction with a Sig as I would a Glock. Okay? I mean, I know y'all think I'm a Glock fan. I guess I am. But I would be equally perplexed and surprised if we had a malfunction with even with this one. You know, it's a little different than your other Sigs, maybe, your higher dollar Sigs. But I would be surprised if we had a hang-up, because you just don't get that with a Sig. I've owned them. I've owned 2 or 3, and I have had several on the table we've done videos with. They just work, you know, just like a Glock. They just work. And when I was trying to show you there, I don't think I got sidetracked. You know, one of the negatives that I always point out, and one reason we do these is so if you're making choices about firearms, you can weigh the pros and the cons. Okay, I don't mean to bash anybody's product necessarily unless it deserves it. We all know Sig makes great guns. But if I'm looking to buy a firearm in 9mm that holds 15 rounds with a flush magazine, and I go into a store and I see this, and I know it has a reputation for working, okay, and then I pick this up and I'm trying to decide between these two. Well, I've got this heavier gun, bigger gun. The slide sits up high on it. I've got a double single action. I don't like where the trigger breaks way back here. The reset's not all that great on this one. I don't think the reset's as good as it is on a 226. Just a big gun. It doesn't feel quite as good to me as this one does. My hand's up high on it. Really low bore axis. It's a thinner gun. It's a lighter gun. It's a more streamlined gun. You know, so for me, it's an easy choice. All right, there's my Glock bias. Okay, smaller, more streamlined, and something that I can shoot just as well is going to appeal to me. Okay, or shoot better probably, because every trigger pull is the same. All right, now all that said, it's a Sig. You can count on it working. If the weight of it doesn't bother you, if the high bore axis doesn't bother you, and it doesn't, a lot of people prefer that because it feels, I mean, it feels like a glove to most people. It just fits your hand. You can't complain about that. It does. And then some people, I see your comments, you know, in videos and just around the internet. there are people who much prefer a double to single action. They want to be able to just put that in their holster. First place, with a Sig, decock it. You don't have to mess with the hammer. Put it in your holster, and it's ready to go. You just pull it out. You got a long, kind of a long pull on that first shot. They see that as being safer. And then you go to a light trigger, after that, of course, because it's cocked. And then your subsequent shots are single action. There is a lot to be said for that. I prefer a different system. But, that works. You can get used to it. Let's try it again, okay? We'll shoot at least 3 more times here. Now, I in my practicing and getting used to the gun and just, testing the gun yesterday and this morning, I was having some trouble hitting, I'll confess, partly because of where you have to hold the sights, and then because of that trigger and that distance issue there I was talking about, because I have to bring it, I'm going to decock it, I have to bring it way back here. I'll wait till it's empty to show you that again. All right, let's pull it out in double action again. Again, that's the advantage of this type of mechanism. It's hot right now, there's a round in the chamber, but the hammer's not cocked. When I pull it out, I cock it. When I pull the trigger, yep. There you go. I didn't do that on purpose. And I'm not used to that. I pulled down and shot the dirt. I'll do it again. Slow motion. Bring it out. I'll do better. Put a hole in the bucket. All right. Reloads nicely. There we go. Drop the slide. Go for the red plate. Now I have to hold level up above it, almost on the top of it at least. There we go. I'm essentially aiming over it. Okay, slow down, yeah. But it's an accurate firearm. It's a Sig. Shoots well. I can see why people like them. Now let me show you this trigger, what I was talking about. Again, if you're thinking of buying one, because this is in a price range that would be attractive to a lot of people. And again, a different grip size may help you with this, but for that thing to fire, I just had to bring my finger way back and, all the way back to the frame, where it pops. And the reset is out there. It seems like it's a little too far out. It's not horrible, but it seems like it could be a little better. So I'm feeling, and I've talked about that before for you new shooters. If you've got to get your fingers back too far for a trigger break, I don't care what the firearm is, it really affects, I think, how accurate you're going to be with that firearm. So now, again, that said, your hands probably are not as large as mine, are they? So that's where my problem is. The owner of this is not 6'8". Okay, he's not even close to 6'8". So this probably fits his hand beautifully, but just something to think about. The single action trigger, I think it's supposed to be about 4.5 pounds. That's what they advertise them. And the double action is about 10 pounds. And that's probably pretty accurate. Okay. And I think I shot all the ammo, didn't I? We may load one more and just shoot it fast here. What else did I not tell you? What other lies about it can I can make up? Yeah. Again, the big difference is you have a polymer frame. We'll load one more magazine. I bought a magazine. He had a couple. I picked up one. I was up at Whitaker Guns yesterday up in Owensboro, Kentucky, out in the middle of nowhere. And they've got every magazine you can imagine. And I just picked one up there so I'd have it. I don't know when you're going to get another one of these to shoot. But there's a reason that it's half the price of its big brother, the P226. So, still, it is a Sig, and I got to load another. You know me. I got to load one more. It's a nice gun. You know, it doesn't feel as good to me for reasons I mentioned, but it's all right. I personally would probably go with something else before I'd go with this. If I were going to buy a Sig, I'd rather just go ahead and try to save up for the 226, but that's just me. I'm sure a lot of people are getting great service out of this firearm. It is a company that is reliable. They make great guns. It's just that simple. Again, as much as I make a complaint about that double to single on Sig, every time I have one out here, I know y'all, you Sig lovers get tired of hearing me say that. And the high bore axes, the things I do point out. As much as all of that is very true for me, there's something special about a Sig. I don't know what it is exactly. They're just really cool firearms. It's like the Beretta 92FS that I have. It's not a firearm I'm going to carry for carry. I carry around the farm, shoot it, enjoy it, and you know, if I had to go to battle with it, I could. But it's not my first choice. You know, some of the same limitations. You know, when I fire that thing, when that trigger comes all the way back, it's a lot like the Sig. It's way back here, and I just don't like that as much on the single action, even though it has a nice break on it too. So, but great guns. If they fit you well and you like that double single action, go for it, because they are quality. You're definitely not buying junk when you buy a Sig. All right, we got a couple mags. Let's just play a little bit. I don't know, I may never have another 2022 on the compound, so might as well take advantage of it, have some fun with it. Let's get another magazine in there, quick. I'll fuck it. See right there, I was having trouble shooting as fast as I wanted to. Again, I have a large hands, but it was kind of the reset and not being able to get back on it as quickly as I wanted to. If it would break a little further out, it'd be easier. And if I weren't so dumb, it'd be easier, right? And so incompetent. No, it's a little lacking in that area. So if you're buying a gun to machine gun, it might be a little more difficult with this, depending on the size of your hands. Let me grab this magazine, so don't forget that. But anyway, a nice price range, you know, for a Sig, you know, $400 or $500, and without the night sights, I think they're under $500 still, if I'm not mistaken. And you've got essentially a 226 with a polymer frame, you know. So, you know, I see why there's so much buzz and so many questions about it, because you know, I know what's going through everybody's head that has never fired one, is not sure about it. I think, wow, isn't that the same as a 226? You know, just a polymer frame and half the money. You know, why shouldn't I be looking at that thing? You know, so that's one reason I know I get so many requests for it. And I know I've bashed it some, but by and large, if you like a 226, you're dying for a 226. But that's just out of your price range. You do have something very, very close to it. I would handle it in the gun shop. I'd make sure you get the grip on there, because they're simple to take on and off. So in the gun shop, they'd probably be willing to do that if you're ready to fork over $500. And if you find a grip that fits you and that you like it, get them to let you pull the trigger. If you're a serious buyer, they'll probably let you do that, if that's all that's standing between you and walking out with it, and see what you think about it. And it might be right up your alley. Okay, it's definitely an attractive price point. No doubt about that. So anyway, the 2022 from Sig, lower price 226, what it comes down to. Not a bad little piece of hardware. And you saw we didn't exactly have to suffer through malfunctions, did we? That doesn't happen with a Sig. Life is good.